Hello guys, this is your friend Dark Fox 2.0. We are back with a new fanfic. Which is What If Kid Naruto formed the legendary Jinchuriki Harem Alliance Part 2. And if you enjoy this fanfic, then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. Few hours before the meeting, Yugito writes a letter for the Raikage, informing him when she'll soon be arriving back to the cloud. She told him the exact day, and the exact hour she and her group will be arriving. She also informed him to meet her at Turtle Island, in front of the island's training hall, the day and hour she's scheduled to arrive. The last thing she mentioned in the letter is that Naruto has discovered his status as Jinchuriki, and I is free to mention it to Naruto. She sends the message via messenger bird, and waits for the meeting to take place. It was 8 o'clock at night in the village hidden in the leaves, and the council meeting that Hiruzen had addressed to Yugito was ready to get started. All of the clan leaders were present in the meeting. Inoichi, Shikaku, Choza, Hiyashi, and a few civilian council members were present. Hiruzen, Yugito, and the other Jinchuriki, minus Naruto of course, were also present in the meeting. And the eldest of the council members, Kaharu, and Homura, cannot be missed. Not to mention, the third elder member of the council, the War Hawk of the Hidden Leaf Village, wouldn't miss a meeting like this. That man being Danzo Shimura. Hiruzen starts the meeting, and Yugito begins explaining her reasons as to why she would like to recruit Naruto, in which Danzo immediately disagrees to. Danzo is a man who sees the tailed beast as a weapon, and taking their weapon away from their village is not something anybody can just ask for. Yugito begins explaining her reasons, and the heads of the four clans see her reasoning, as do a few in the civilians. The civilians still hold a personal grudge against the Nine Tails, and obviously the ones who lost family members due to the attack. Kaharu, Homura, and Danzo counter Yugito's reasons, but she gets hemp from her Jinchuriki group, as they give out their own thoughts and reasons. One of them later reveals to the council that all five of them are Jinchuriki, much to Yugito's dismay, which utterly shocks everyone in the council, especially the civilians. Danzo was not shocked at all. He continues to explain his reasons as to why Naruto should stay. Danzo was beginning to irritate Yugito, slowly getting angered at the fact that he was calling Naruto a weapon. Gaara surprisingly counters what Danzo says, and even Fu tells them something. B only agrees. The council was starting to favor the Jinchuriki's side, and so were Kaharu and Homura. Danzo was not happy. The meeting lasted a total of 45 minutes, until they all made a decision. Hiruzen speaks. It seems we can all agree this meeting has come to an end. I'd hereby declare that Naruto Uzumaki is to leave tomorrow morning with Yugito Ni, and her group. You are all dismissed. All of the clan leads, the civilian council members, and the three elder counselors begin to exit the room. Danzo was the one who angrily exited first. Hiruzen stayed with the Jinchuriki group. That was quite the debate that went on there. Yugito says, "Yes, I'm just glad we were able to convince them." B raps. Lil. Naruto finally gets to join us. In us he can put all his trust. Fu looks at Gaara, and smiles. Hear that, Gaara? The two of us just got ourselves another buddy. Was all Gaara said. Yugito looks at her Jinchuriki friends. I really have to thank all of you for helping me in that debate. If you weren't there, I would had probably lost. Fu says. Sure thing, Yugito. Han nods, and B gives a thumbs up. Hiruzen speaks. By the way, I must let you know, Naruto just barely graduated from the Ninja Academy this morning. Yugito asks. Oh, is that so? Yes. He's barely a ninja. Now, I think you should go find Naruto and give him the news. You said in the meeting that he would be happy to go with you, so him hearing confirmation to leave will excite him. Yugito nods as well. Indeed. Where can we find him at this time? He should be back at his home. Do you know where it is? I'm afraid not. Then I'll gladly guide you to his place. I have time. Yugito smiles. We would be thankful, Lord Hokage. Hiruzen begins walking, and the group follows him. They spent 10 minutes walking, and discussing what were Yugito's plans for her and her group when they head back to the Cloud Village, until they finally arrived to Naruto's place. Hiruzen speaks. Here it is. The lights are on, so he must be here. Hiruzen knocks on the door, and after a few seconds, it opens, with Naruto being on the other side of the door. He was in his pajamas. Naruto speaks. Grandpa Hokage. Yugito. Hiruzen smiles. Greetings, my boy. We have news for you. Can we come in? Sure. Naruto opens the door all the way, and steps to the side to let Hiruzen and the group enter. Fu looks at the place. Cute little place. Naruto says. Thanks. Old man Hokage got it for me when I was 8. Han admits. I'm admittedly jealous. I had to live under a rock for most of my life. Naruto didn't know what to say to that. Oh, that sounds like it sucks. Hiruzen says. I hope we weren't interrupting in anything, Naruto. I see you're in your sleeping garments. Yeah, I was just getting ready to go to bed. He smiles proudly. Tomorrow is the day I become a genin, so I gotta get plenty of rest. About that, Naruto. There's something Yugito would like to say. Yugito asks. Naruto. Do you still want to go with me and my friends? Naruto says. You bet I do. Knowing that you guys are like me motivates me to go with you. He then realizes. Wait a minute, Yugito, you said you were having a meeting with the council about me. Does that mean that? Yugito finishes the sentence. That you're going with us? She smiles kindly. That's exactly what it means, Naruto. It wasn't easy, but the council allowed for you to come with us. Naruto stays speechless for a few seconds, then smiles, and suddenly hugs Yugito. Yugito, that's awesome. Yugito was caught by surprise by the sudden hug, but smiles again, and hugs him in return. Naruto keeps hugging her. Now I get to go with people who are just like me. People who know how I feel. He lets go of her. This is exciting. When do we leave? Yugito says. Tomorrow morning. I hope you're an early bird. Are we getting up that early? The third speaks. Yes, Naruto. You barely just became a ninja, so you'll have to legally put down your leaf ninja status if you want to join another village. Naruto frowns. Man, I hate getting up early. Fu speaks. Hey Naruto. According to Yugito, you have a dream of becoming Hokage. What's going to happen to that? Naruto says. Well, I just wanted to become Hokage so that people could see me as a person, and not like a demon. But that doesn't matter anymore now that I have new friends who are just like me. He does a thumbs up, closes his left eye, and smiles. I'll go with you guys wherever you are taking me. Yugito smiles once more. I'm glad to hear that, Naruto. Hiruzen says. Then it's settled. You'll all be leaving early tomorrow morning. Naruto, you'll put down your status as a leaf ninja, and you'll be on our way to the Cloud Village. Naruto looks at Hiruzen. Hey Grandpa Hokage. Before I leave, could I say goodbye to Iruka-sensei? I don't want to leave without telling him. The old Hokage nods. Of course, my boy. I'll inform him to report to my office tomorrow in the morning. He's not aware of your departure, so it'll be best to inform him tomorrow. Seeing as the conversation was at an end, Gaara decides to exit Naruto's home. Yugito tells Naruto, make sure you pack up everything you need for your departure. I'll come here tomorrow around 6 in the morning to pick you up, so I suggest you get up around 5 to get ready. Hiruzen adds in. In fact, you should start packing up right now. Naruto happily says. Right away, Grandpa Hokage. Yugito says. We'll be leaving then. We need to catch our rest too. Hiruzen agrees. Right. It's going to be a long trip, so you'll need all the rest you can get. B bumps his chest with his left hand, and does a peace sign. We see ya tomorrow, Naru homie. Naruto waves at them. See ya guys tomorrow. With that, the Jinchuriki group and the Hokage take their leave, and Naruto starts packing up as many things as he could. Somewhere in the village, 15 ANBU members were down on one knee, and with their heads down, in front of their leader, who was none other than Danzo himself. He speaks. The one known as Yugito Ni, and her allies, have convinced the council to allow Naruto Uzumaki to leave the village with them. Tomorrow morning, the nine-tailed Jinchuriki will leave, and will make his way to the cloud. I want all of you to stop them from leaving, no matter the cost. Whatever you do, don't mention who sent you, and use force on the boy only if he fights back. However, you must bring him back alive. Once you eliminate the group, discard their bodies, and escort the boy back to the village. Failure is not an option, Root. Have I made myself clear? All of the Root members respond. Yes, Lord Danzo. Good. I will not tolerate having to lose our weapon to a village that's inferior to us. The night went by quickly, and both Naruto, and the Jinchuriki group, got their rest. Except for Gaara, who seems to like staying awake during the nights, and spent his time on the roof of the hotel building where they were staying. The sun had already risen, and Iruka Yumino had made his way to the Hokage Tower to meet the third. He knocks on the door to the Hokage's main office, and hears a, "Come in," from the aged Hokage. Iruka walks into the office. Lord Hokage, I received your message last night. What do you wish to discuss? Is something the matter? The third Hokage looks up from his paperwork, and eyes the young sensei. Yes, Iruka. There is something we need to discuss. First, I'd like to apologize for bringing up this topic at the last minute. You should have been informed earlier. Very well. What would you like to discuss? It's about Naruto. He's leaving the village today. Iruka widens his eyes. What? What do you mean he's leaving the village? And today? You remember Yugito Ni, yes? Iruka nods. She has requested to take Naruto with her to the Cloud Village. Iruka raises his voice. What? She's taking him with her. What does she need him for? Calm down, Iruka. No, I can't calm down. What purpose is she taking him for? Does the council know? Hiruzen remains calm. Iruka, allow me to explain. Iruka calms himself down, and allows the Hokage to speak. Hiruzen explains Yugito's goal with Naruto, and the rest of the Jinchuriki. He also reminds Iruka that she carries a burden that is as heavy as Naruto's. This still didn't make Iruka happy. Hiruzen tells him, now you understand. Yugito and the rest of the Jinchuriki can shine a big light on Naruto. I understand you've done everything you could to shine your own, but Naruto needs this. He understands that there are people out there that were hated for the same reason, and can understand him. Yugito earning her village's respect will help Naruto understand that he too can achieve great things with his status. It's for the good of the boy. Iruka stays quiet for a few seconds, then speaks. I understand, Lord Hokage. Good. Could I at least say goodbye to him before he leaves? He was actually who requested for you to come here. He wanted to say goodbye himself. He should be arriving anytime soon. Very well. It had only been about 10 minutes as Naruto arrived with Yugito. Naruto was carrying a backpack on his back. Naruto opens the door to the Hokage's office. Iruka sensei. He walks up to Iruka. Great to see you're here. Iruka smiles. Good to see you too, Naruto. Lord Hokage just told me about your departure. Yeah, isn't it cool, sensei? I get to leave with people who are like me. Yeah, it sounds really cool. Hiruzen speaks. Naruto, before taking the conversation further, why don't you sign the papers declaring that you're no longer a leaf ninja? Naruto responds. Sure thing, Grandpa Hokage. Naruto walked up the Hokage's desk, and Hiruzen began giving Naruto a few papers to sign. As he was doing that, Yugito and Iruka began a conversation. Iruka begins talking. I hope Naruto finds his place in the Cloud Village. He still has a lot of growing up to do, but with the right guidance, I know he won't disappoint. I just hope you will have patience with him. He's known for being a troublemaker. Yugito replies. Oh yes, he's told me a few of his pranks. You should had seen him 2 days ago. He painted the Hokage monument by himself. Yugito nearly laughs at that. He did. And nobody noticed. Yeah, everybody wondered the same thing. I have no idea how this knucklehead managed to paint the whole monument. Half of the Leaf Ninjas were going after him after he pulled that stunt, but I was the one that caught him. Naruto turns to Yugito and Iruka, and grins. The look on everyone's faces after I did that were hilarious. He turns back to the papers, and Iruka admits. I do admit everyone's reaction was pretty funny. But I later forced him to clean the entire monument alone. Which he obviously wasn't happy with. Yugito looks at Naruto. He's got some talent in him. Even if it's for pranking. Iruka smiles while looking at Naruto, but looks back at Yugito, and she looks at him as well. He says, I hope you take good care of him, Miss Ni. He's like a little brother to me, and seeing him leave isn't something I'm going to take easy. Yugito responds, you have my word. I'll make sure nothing happens to him. I'm sure you will. I look forward to seeing how much he improves. The Chunin exams are not very far away. You'll be able to see his improvement if he makes it into the exams. But who will be on his team? I already know who can give him company. Iruka nods. All right then. After another minute, Naruto finishes signing the papers. Hiruzen speaks. All right then, Naruto. Now you just need to hand back your leaf headband. Naruto disagrees to that. Ah, can't I keep it? It's the headband Iruka-sensei gave me when I graduated. I'm sorry Naruto, but it's part of putting down your leaf ninja status. Naruto frowns. Ah, okay. You do have it with you, yes. Yeah, I do. Naruto takes off his backpack, opens it, and looks inside to take out the leaf headband that Iruka gave him. As Yugito watched him sadly hold the headband, she felt rather bad having something given by somebody important be taken away after barely receiving it. She then speaks. Lord Hokage, with all due respect, Naruto just received his leaf headband a few days ago from his sensei. It doesn't seem fair taking it away from him. I insist he should at least keep it as a gift, and as a memory of the Leaf Village. Was all the old Hokage could say. Until he spoke. Very well, Naruto. You may keep your headband. Naruto smiles happily, and looks at Iruka's old headband. Hiruzen then continued. You may keep it as long as you don't wear it around the Cloud Village. We don't want the Cloud people to confuse you with a leaf ninja. Naruto responds. Don't worry old man, I'll keep it safe. Naruto puts the headband back in his backpack, and puts the backpack on his back again. Hiruzen says. You're all settled. You are now free to join the Cloud Village with Yugito. Naruto slowly turns to Iruka, and walks up to him. Well sensei, I guess this is goodbye. Iruka faintly smiles. I guess it is. Behave, and be a good boy, will you Naruto? Naruto smiles. I'll be fine, Iruka sensei. Be sure to learn lots of jutsu by the time I see you again. Naruto then grins. Hey, you don't have to tell me. By the time we see each other again, I'm gonna be Junin level. Or maybe even higher. Yugito smiles at his statement, and Iruka says. Haha, surprise me, then. After about 3 seconds, Naruto then hugs Iruka, which he responds. Naruto tells him, I'm gonna miss you, Iruka sensei. Iruka nearly shed a tear. Damn it Naruto, you're gonna make me cry. Yugito only stares at the duo with a kind smile on her face, as Hiruzen looks at them as well, satisfied. A few minutes later, Naruto and Yugito exit the Hokage Tower, and join their other Jinchuriki buddies. As Naruto walks, he looks back and waves goodbye at Iruka, and Hiruzen, who were standing in front of the Hokage Tower. They wave back at Naruto. Iruka speaks. I hope he grows up to be big and strong. Yugito seems like a promising guidance for Naruto, so I'm hoping she takes good care of him. Hiruzen says. You care a lot about the boy, Iruka, and so do I. I believe he will be fine. As the 6 Jinchuriki walk through the village, Fu lightly taps Naruto with her elbow. Welcome to the group, Naruto. Naruto grins, and rubs the back of his head. Haha, thanks. Man, this is so awesome. I get to leave the village and go somewhere else with the coolest people ever. By the way, Yugito, thanks for convincing old man Hokage to let me keep Iruka-sensei's headband. Yugito responds. You're welcome, Naruto. I noticed how important it seemed to you, and I didn't want it to be taken away from you after barely receiving it. So we're heading straight to your village, right? That's right. I hope you like walking. Because the journey to the Cloud Village is a day and a half. What? Are we going to make stops at least? Yes, we will make stops, but we'll spend most of our time walking. Naruto frowns. Aw man. Fu says. Don't worry, Naruto. If you ever get tired, she points at Han with her thumb. Han here can give you a lift. He already gave me one. Naruto looks at Han. Wow, really? You'd do that? Han responds. Sure. But only when you really can't keep up. Cool. All 6 of them exit the village, and walk for half an hour. Until everyone except for Naruto stopped walking. When he notices they all stopped, he looks at them. What's wrong with you guys? B looks at Yugito. Yugi girl. Yugito replies. I know. Naruto asks. What is it? What's wrong? Han says. We're not alone. Yugito yells. We know you're there. Show yourselves. Naruto asks. Who are you, Taki? Before he could finish his sentence, a group of 15 ninjas come out from the trees, and land in front of them. All of them were masked, and had hoods on. This catches Naruto by surprise. Whoa. Yugito asks them. Who are you? One of the ninjas speak. Our identities do not matter. We are here to bring the 9 tails back to the Leaf Village. Naruto walks backwards towards Yugito and the others. What? Yugito asks. And who sent you? The ninja speaks again. That is not important either. Surrender the boy, or you will be met with extreme force. Naruto is now rightfully part of our group. You can't just take him from us. The 9 tails is a property of the Leaf Village, and we're here to claim him back. Surrender him or die. Han steps forward. Whoever you are, if you want to get your hands on our friend, you'll have to go through us first. Fu, B, and Yugito step forward as well, while Gaara stayed behind. He wasn't one to defend anybody, but if he needed to fight, then by all means. Naruto looks back at them when he notices they all step forward, and then looks forward to the 15 ninjas, and crosses his arms, triggering his trademark foxy grin. The same ninja says, very well, if we must. Naruto then says, allow me, guys. I know a useful jutsu that'll kick these guys' butts. Yugito argues. Naruto, these are at least low Jonin leveled ninjas we're dealing with. Hey, just watch me. He then makes a cross-shaped hand sign with his index and middle fingers. Shadow Clone Jutsu. 14 other Naruto clones pop into existence right in front of both groups, facing the strange ninjas. Yugito and Fu were both surprised, while B and Han were intrigued. Gaara didn't react. Whoa, was Fu's reaction. Yugito says in her thoughts. Physical versions of himself. That's impressive. Without a thought, all the 15 Narutos charge at the ninjas, and begin attacking. But what happened wasn't much of a fight, as all the Naruto clones were quickly attacked by the unknown ninjas, and were dispelled, leaving only the real Naruto standing. Naruto was dumbfounded, and Fu was just as dumbfounded as he was. That's it, Naruto. Naruto wasn't done yet. Oh, you think you guys are so tough? Well, I still got more where that came from. Before he could make a cross hand sign again, Yugito and the others immediately charge at the mysterious ninjas, and begin fighting, leaving Naruto standing there. Yugito, B, and Han were each fighting 3 ninjas, while Fu was fighting 1. 1 ninja charged at Naruto, while the 3 remaining ninjas surrounded Gaara. Yugito used her speed and flexibility to outmatch the 3 ninjas she was fighting. B was using 2 of his 7 swords, and his agility, to fight off the 3 ninjas he was facing. Han was using the defense of his armor, and the endurance given to him by his tailed beast, to battle the 3 ninjas. Meanwhile, with the 3 kids of the group, Fu was somewhat struggling, but didn't have such a hard time fighting her enemy. She was only a genin, and fighting a low jonin level ninja was obviously harder than fighting another genin. Fu was fairly agile, and was just as good at taijutsu, plus she had fairly good reflexes, so she was still on her feet despite struggling a bit. Gaara only stood on his spot, waiting for the ninjas to attack him. They started by throwing shurikens and kunais from all directions, but weren't succeeding in even scratching Gaara, as the sand on the gourd on his back was protecting him from the hits. Naruto, on the other hand, wasn't doing well at all. He was clearly outmatched, and it didn't help that he wasn't given any ninja tools when he left the Leaf Village, so he didn't have anything to defend himself with. He could use his shadow clones, but the ninja he was fighting against moved too fast for him to make his hand sign. Not to mention, Naruto's reflexes were not that great, so he was mostly knocked down to the ground. Despite that, he still got back up without any showing signs of exhaustion. The adults and Gaara weren't having any trouble at all. When the ninjas approached Gaara, they ended up caught in his sand, which wrapped itself around these ninjas. As much as they struggled to break free, they couldn't. The sand ended up twisting and turning their bodies, breaking important bones, and killing them in the progress. Yugito was very experienced in taijutsu, and she had excellent speed. The ninjas attacking her couldn't keep up, and she used her claws to do some serious damage to the 3 ninjas she was facing. Their bodies couldn't keep up, and they eventually collapsed on the floor. B also did some serious damage to the ninjas he was facing, with his swords. He managed to impale one of them through his chest, and slice the other 2's necks. B was experienced with kenjutsu just as much as Yugito was with taijutsu. The 3 ninjas Han was facing couldn't break through his defense. His defense were not to be underestimated. He also used taijutsu to fight off the 3 ninjas he was facing. In fact, the entire battle was mostly taijutsu or kenjutsu. There were no jutsu used at all besides Gaara's sand, as he's the only one who lacks in taijutsu. Han ended his part of the fight by grabbing 2 of the ninjas' heads, and slamming them against each other. Han then grabbed the last one's leg, swung the ninja over him, and slammed him against the ground, knocking him unconscious. Fu and Naruto were still fighting their opponents. Fu ended up using a water sword to fight off the ninja, and Naruto was yet again getting knocked down all over the place. Both of their fights were interfered when Han grabbed the ninja Fu was fighting, and slammed him against a tree near them. Fu complained. "Hey, he was Fu's." Han replied. "You were taking too long." The ninja Naruto was fighting punched Naruto back onto the ground, and before the ninja could continue attacking him, Yugito made one hand sign, to unleash one of her jutsu. She yells, "Mouse hairball." And she releases a blue fireball out of her mouth, which heads straight to the ninja and hits him right on the back of his head. The impact knocks him down to the ground, and names him unconscious. Yugito runs up to Naruto, and helps him up. She asks, "Are you alright, Naruto?" and gives out a hand to help him up. Naruto replies, "Yeah, thanks." He grabs her hand, and stands up. Yugito looks at the others. "Is everyone alright?" Han answers, "Everything's good here." B says, "It's all good by me, yo." Fu says, "Fu's okay too." Gaara was fine as well, but doesn't reply. Yugito was relieved. "Okay, good." Fu asks, "Who were these guys?" "I don't know, but they wanted to bring Naruto back to the Leaf Village." Han says, "Which obviously means they're from there." Naruto asks, "Me? What do they want with me?" Yugito guesses, "Somebody apparently didn't want you to leave the village, so whoever it was, he or she sent these ninjas to eliminate us, and bring you back." Naruto asks another question. Should we tell Grandpa Hokage? No. We're already half an hour away from the village. We'll send the Hokage a message about the ambush once we reach Cloud. Fu asks. What do we do about them? She aims her hand at the unconscious or dead ninjas. Yugito takes out a sealing scroll. We'll seal their bodies and the unconscious attackers inside these scrolls, and deliver them to the leaf once we arrive to the Cloud. One of these scrolls can only seal up to 5 bodies, I have 3, thankfully. Han, B, can you guys help me line up the bodies in a line? B responds. You got it, Yugi sis. Han nods, and they both help Yugito move the bodies. They made 2 lines of 5 bodies, and 1 of 4 on the ground, so that Yugito could use 1 scroll for each line. Naruto looks at the dead ninjas with disgust. Man, dead people, it's not something I see all the time. I mean, not all of them are dead, but some of them are. It gives me goosebumps. Fu agrees. I know. The first time Fu saw someone dead in front of me was a few days ago, but Fu would rather not talk about it. Naruto looks at her confused. Why do you talk as if Fu was somebody else? Fu looks at him. Oh, it's the way Fu talks. She puts her hands on her hips, and smiles. Fu likes talking in third person. Maybe you should try it. Nah, that seems weird to me. She shrugs. Suit yourself. It took the adults 3 minutes to move bodies, and the sealing progress took a total of 4 minutes to be done. Yugito was no master in sealing, but she had enough experience to seal bodies inside scrolls, and even do other things like fixing broken seals. In those 4 minutes, the bodies were already sealed inside the scrolls, and Yugito puts them away in her backpack. She says, let's go. We have a long trip. They all agree, and begin walking once again. The trip from the Leaf Village to the Cloud Village wasn't anything special. They walked for an hour and stopped at a small village to get breakfast. They continued their journey for a few more hours, and stopped at another small village for lunch, then ended their day by stopping at yet another small village for dinner, and rest for the night. They spent the entire time traveling, and only making stops to eat. Naruto and Fu were more than happy they were finally going to stop for the day, and all they wanted to do was get some sleep. They stayed in a small hotel. Naruto, Han, and B stayed in one room, while Fu and Yugito stayed in another one. Gaara once again stayed on the roof, and stayed wide awake for the night. His insomnia only worried Yugito. Why was he such an insomniac? Was there something he was hiding? She knew Gaara wouldn't give answers away right away, even if they're all like him, so she decided to wait until he gains enough trust on his new friends. Even if it takes days, weeks, or months, or even years. The next morning, they ate breakfast in the village they were staying, and left to continue their journey to the Cloud Village. They pass the borders of the Lightning Country during their walk, and take a shortcut through the mountains to avoid walking through Lightning Desert. After another hour of walking through the mountains, the Cloud Village could be seen in sight. Fu sees the village from the mountain. Hey Yugito. Fu can see the Cloud Village from here. Yugito looks, and says. That's correct. That is the Cloud Village. Naruto says. The road to get to it can be seen from here too. I'll race you guys to the entrance of the village. Before he could run off, Yugito stops him. Hold on there, Naruto. What? We're not headed to the village at the moment. We're heading to a place called Turtle Island. That's where all of you will be staying, and my cage expects us to be there, and not in the village. Oh, well, why didn't you say so in the first place? Yugito embarrassingly rubs the back of her neck. Oh, I guess it never occurred to me. She lowers her hand. But anyway, we have to take a boat to the island, and it's going to be another hour. Naruto crosses his arms, and the other pass by him. Man, can't we just end this journey by going to the villa? B grabs Naruto by the back of his jacket. Wah hey. He then drags Naruto to the ship docks. You complain too much, yo. Now let's go, Naruto. Naruto struggles. Hey, let me go. Yugito. Say something. Yugito jokes with him. Something. Oh, very funny. Just 10 minutes, and they had arrived to the ship docks near the Cloud Village. B had let go of Naruto at the quarter of their 10-minute walk. There were many small ships in the docks, and a few medium and larger ones. Yugito decided to take a medium ship for them to sail on. The group got in, and the captain of the ship proceeded guiding the ship to Turtle Island. A few minutes had passed during the trip, and Naruto, Fu, and Yugito were in front of the ship, looking out into the distance. Naruto was standing on the left, Fu in the middle, and Yugito on the right. They decide to have a conversation. Naruto asks Yugito, "So Yugito, this Turtle Island, is it an island full of turtles?" Yugito replies, "Not exactly. It does have turtles, but it's not a home only for them. It's inhabited by many different animals that me and B are friends with. B is actually friends with all of the animals in the island." Fu asks, "Why is it called Turtle Island then?" Yugito answers, "Well, you two probably won't believe me." She looks sharply at Naruto and Fu, and smiles. But in truth, the island is an actual living, breathing, giant turtle that carries a forest on its back. Naruto and Fu look at each other. "Woo-ah," they say at the same time. Naruto asks, "That's where we'll be staying?" Yugito replies, "That's right. That will be the home for the U2, Han, and Gaara. And the 3 other Jinchuriki we haven't found yet." Naruto asks another question. "What's a Jinchuriki?" Yugito tells him, "It's what us demon containers are called. We're all Jinchuriki, the power of human sacrifice." "Oh, okay. And you said there's 3 more?" "Yes. But I don't know where 2 of them are, and one of them became a dictator to its own village." "Why did he become a dictator?" Yugito crosses her arms. "That's what I'd like to find out too. But going back to Turtle Island, me and B made arrangements on where the 4 of you will be staying while in the island. You will all be staying at the Turtle Island Training Hall. Turtle Island is mostly a training ground for the Cloud Ninja, and the training hall is where they stay to rest and sleep for when they're doing days of training. It's a fairly large building, so there's plenty of room for you guys." Fu playfully says. Fu wouldn't mind living inside a tree. Fu has for nearly her whole life. Naruto looks at her. "Really? For most of your life?" "Yeah, you should be thankful, Naruto. You were given your own apartment and your own bed to sleep in." Fu had to find her own home far from the village. "Trust me, I really am thankful for having my own little house. I owe it to old man Hokage. But now that I'm with you guys, I have an even better home now." Yugito smiles at them. "Well, I'm going to let the 2 of you talk for a while. Now that you'll be living in Turtle Island, I highly encourage you to get to know each other. Wouldn't you agree? Who knows? Maybe you have a lot in common." Fu smiles, and looks at Naruto. "I agree." Naruto looks back at Fu, smiles as well. "Sure. I'll talk to you." Yugito says. "Excellent. I'll see you kids later." Yugito walks away, leaving the 2 young Jinchuriki alone. Naruto starts. "So as you already know, I'm Naruto Uzumaki." Fu says. "And I'm Fu. Just to reintroduce myself. So, tell me about yourself." Naruto told Fu much about himself. He told her about his life at the academy, Ichiraku Ramen, his very first friend, and his infamous side of his life as a prankster. He even shared some of his life alone and ignored, which Fu could relate to. Naruto continued, "Even though I don't live in the Leaf Village anymore, I still want to become Hokage. Just so that I can show the leaf on the person they're missing out on." Fu asks. "Wait. Fu doesn't get it. How can you become Hokage if you don't live in the Leaf Village? Isn't it obvious? I'm gonna become the Hokage of the Cloud Village." Fu's sweat drops. The Hokage of the Cloud Village. Naruto grins. "Yeah, if I can't become a Hokage in the leaf, I'll just become a Hokage in the cloud." Naruto. The Hokage, of the Cloud Village is called a Raikage. Naruto shrugs. Hokage, Raikage, same thing, really. But enough about me. Tell me about yourself. Well, Fu isn't that interesting, honestly. Fu grew up lonely, nobody wanted her, everybody hated me. All because of this stupid-tailed beast I have sealed inside of me. Naruto blinks once, and notices how Fu didn't talk in third person during that last sentence. Fu continues. I don't usually talk about this, but the only person that cared about me died in front of me. Who was that person? Quote. My sensei. Like any ninja, I was part of a 3-man team, and a sensei. One of my teammates hated me, and the other one was scared of me. Then there was my sensei. The only person who saw me as a human, and not a beast. Naruto asks. What happened? I changed my mind. I'd rather not talk about it. Sorry. It's alright. I know what it feels like to be feared. The 12 years I lived, I had no idea why people were so scared of me, and ignored me. That's one of the reasons I started pulling pranks. So I could get people's attention. It doesn't sound like the right kind of attention. Naruto shrugs. Meh. He then grins. It was still funny seeing their reactions to my pranks. Fu smiles. By the way, you're 12 years old. Yeah, that's right. Wait, how do you know? Because you said, the 12 years I lived, so I figured you were that age. She puts her hand on her chest, and looks proud. Fu is 13 years old, so you better pay attention to her. Naruto frowns. Yeah, right. It's just 1 year of a difference. Fu giggles. I'm just teasing you. On the very back of the boat, Gaara was staring at what little could be seen of the land they had just left. He was silent, and was bearing the same emotionless expression he always bears. The silence was broken when he hears footsteps, as if someone was walking up to him, but Gaara doesn't turn around to see who was coming, he only keeps looking at what's in front of him. It was Han who walks up to Gaara, and stands to his right. He tucks his right hand inside his kimono top, and the two remain silent for a minute, until Han broke it. Han asks, So, how are you enjoying the view? Gaara doesn't respond. Your new home is a long way from your old one. I hope you and the others made the right choice of leaving with Yugito. I only went if she won a bet I offered her to take, which she did, and won. Gaara still remained silent. Silent one, are you? Gaara finally responds. I have nothing to say to you. Han crosses his arms. Is that so? I remember you said the reason you wanted to come along with us was because we understand you, and know what you've gone through. He puts his right index finger and thumb on his mask where his chin resides. Or were you mostly referring to Yugito when you said that? I can't remember that part. He lowers his hand. Either way, me and the others are just like you, and now that you decided to join the group, the least you could do is get to know those who are like you. Gaara stays quiet for a few seconds, then speaks. What do you want to discuss? It's not about what I want to talk about, it's about your interaction with others. Remember, you have a group who understands you now, and since you're part of us, you should try to open up. Why don't you start with me, now that I'm here? Gaara goes back to being silent. Han waits for him to speak, but then he says, Well, I'm sure you'll open up sooner or later. He turns around to leave, but before he could start walking, Gaara speaks. How was your life growing up as a demon container? Han looks over his shoulder, then turns around, and faces Gaara. Difficult. My whole life was spent being hated by the village, and the current Tsuchikage, who is related to me, didn't lift a finger to even try and help me. I was named a Jinchuriki at the age of 4, and my parents abandoned me after that event. I had to literally live under a rock until I was an adult. One of my teammates and my sensei hated me. My other teammate and I fell in love, but she died protecting me, which my sensei and partner blamed me for. Many other things happened to me, but I can't remember them off the top of my head. Gaara says. You mention those events in a way as if they didn't impact you. They did impact me. They turned my world upside down. But so many tragic things happened throughout my entire life that I ended up not caring anymore. I grew up and got over it. I've seen it all happen. Though I don't talk about it with just anyone. Was what Gaara said as he keeps his eyes on the nearly gone land of lightning. Han turns himself to the direction Gaara was looking at. You're still young, and inexperienced. You must have recently gone through some personal moments in your life, and I'm sure you don't want to tell me about it just yet. I'm fine with that. That's correct. But I'm a person of my word. Sometime in the future, I will share my history with you, and with the others. Very well then. I'll be waiting for when that time comes. Yugito was on the deck of the ship watching Gaara and Han conversing, and then turns to Naruto and Fu, who were having some laughs. She smiles. I think they'll all be getting along quite nicely. The hour was near its end, and Naruto and Fu could see the island up ahead. Naruto focuses his eyes on the island up ahead. I think that's the island. We should tell Yugito. Before they could go get Yugito, she walks up to them. I already know. She puts her left hand on Naruto's left shoulder, and her right on Fu's right shoulder. Naruto, Fu, welcome to Turtle Island. The turtle was giant. Very giant. They could see the right side of the Turtle Island, so they could only see its right front and back legs, plus the right side of its head. The island had a huge forest on its back, and there were also huge spikes sticking out from a few parts on its back, and around it. Not to mention, the turtle was easily a whole lot bigger than the Leaf Village. Another 10 minutes had passed, and the ship finally made it to a stop in the island, making their way inside through the forest. Fu marvels at how fantastic the setting was. Wow. This place is full of life, full of green, and Fu can already tell it was full of insects. Fu liked the Leaf Village's environment, but forests, green, and insects are what Fu prefers. Han agrees. It's most certainly better than stones. Yugito says. I'm glad both of you like it. I'm only hoping all of you are fine with the island as your home. Naruto asks. So what are we doing first, Yugito? Do we get to see where we'll be staying? Well, Lord Raikage would like to speak to the four of you first. He wants to know who inhabits his village and the island. He should be here by now, and also told me he'll meet me in front of the training hall. Let's not keep him waiting any longer. With that, they proceed walking towards the training hall. It was a 5-minute walk they had to make, but arrived to the hall. The Raikage was having a conversation with a few of his cloud ninja, while his assistant, Mabui, stood next to him. When he sees Yugito and B arriving with a group of 4 people he's never seen before, he dismisses the group he was conversing with, and the Jinchuriki group walks up to him. B says, Yo Bratha, we back. I begins. Yugito, B, I received your message, and I'm satisfied to see you have arrived. Yugito says, we have, Lord Raikage. And we've brought all 4 of the Jinchuriki I mentioned we were going to bring. I says, excellent, the 2 of you. Yugito looks back at her group. Why don't all of you introduce yourselves to our Raikage? Naruto puts both of his hands behind his head. I'm Naruto Uzumaki. I'm from the Leaf Village. Fu smiles. My name's Fu. Nice to meet you. Han then says, I'm Han. It's a very nice place you have here. Gaara only says, Gaara. I puts his hand behind his back. Very good. Welcome to the Cloud Village. Or more specifically, Turtle Island. My name is I, and as you already know, I'm the current Raikage of the Cloud Village. He starts walking to his left slowly. The 4 of you are here because Yugito convinced me to allow her, and B, to recruit you. I hope you made the right choice of coming here. He then starts walking to his right, slowly. Before I go any further, there are a few rules I want all of you to follow. Rule number 1, if you wish to become Cloud Shinobi, you must go through a special test in order to become one. He walks to his left again. Rule number 2. You are not allowed to leave Turtle Island without granting permission. He stops in front of them once more. We can't have you tailed beast containers running around wherever you want. Rule number 3. If you do leave Turtle Island, I want you to be back by 7 in the evening. I will allow it if you are at least an hour late, but if you are later than that, you will not be allowed to enter the island again until you confront me about the matter. Fu raises her hand. Question. She lowers it. What if we I dunno, maybe an emergency or something? Naruto agrees. Yeah, what if we get captured? I look straight into their eyes, and responds. Let's just hope none of that happens. Both Naruto and Fu widen their eyes, and swallow hard to how he responded. I continues. Other than that, you may feel free to roam whatever part of the island you want. As you may also already know, you will be staying in the Turtle Island Training Hall, and you will all have your own individual rooms. Are there any questions? Han asks. When do we take these special tests? I answers. You will take them 2 weeks from here. That way you will have time to settle down in the island. He looks over to Mabui. This is my assistant, Mabui. Mabui waves at them in a friendly way, and I looks back at them. If you have any questions or concerns, you come to her. However, she spends most of her time in the Raikage mansion helping me, so make sure you see her whenever you're in the Cloud Village. Speaking of which, he looks at Yugito. Yugito, I want you to give them a tour of the Cloud Village tomorrow. Yugito nods. Yes, Lord. I looks back at the group. There's one warning I'd like to give all 4 of you, and you better listen closely, because I will only say this once. They all waited for the Raikage to speak, until he says slowly. Don't waste my time. Naruto swallows hard again, and says in his thoughts. Man, he's a scary man. I asks. Did I make myself clear? The group nods except for Gaara. Good. But other than that, I look forward to seeing how things will turn out with you containers living here in the cloud. You better behave, and not cause any problems, or you will have a problem with me. Mabui, help Yugito and be with the group. Mabui nods. Of course, Lord Raikage. I turns around to take his leave. I will see you all tomorrow. With that, he begins to walk away, and Yugito and B turns to the group. Naruto says, I don't like that guy. Han agrees, and looks at Yugito. I'm starting to rethink my decision of coming with you, Yugito. Yugito smiles embarrassingly. Oh, I can see why. Mabui explains. He's a very tough and strict person, but once you get to know him well, he's a good man. B adds in. As long as you're on his good side. Yugito says. Exactly. Mabui says. But how about we show you around the training hall, and Turtle Island? You're going to love this place once you get used to it. Fu excitedly says. Yeah, I already got a great first impression of this place. Let's see the rest. Mabui smiles. Alright then. Follow us. Mabui, Yugito, and B begin walking, with the Jinchuriki group following behind. Now that there are 6 Jinchuriki in Turtle Island, what events will await them in their path? ANBU. Had been exactly a week since the Jinchuriki arrived to Turtle Island. They had quickly made themselves at home once they arrived to Turtle Island, and were getting along nicely with the Cloud Ninja throughout the week. The 4 new recruited Jinchuriki had signed papers given to them by the Raikage, and took a few tests, to confirm their change to the Cloud. After those were done, they were given their official Cloud Village forehead protectors. Han kept his Jonin status, and Naruto, Fu, and Gaara kept their Genin status. Yugito was more than thrilled to see them being welcomed into her home village, and spent the rest of the week showing them around the Cloud Village, Turtle Island. Of course, she had to take missions as well, so when she or Killer Bee weren't available, they 4 of them were required to stay at Turtle Island until one of them came back. The next day, Yugito wakes up very early in the morning, gets dressed, and takes a ship from Turtle Island to the Cloud Village. Yugito never had her own home inside the cloud, she spent most of her time on the streets or in the mountains when she was young. That is, after the day she and B defeated Osamu, I granted her a home inside Turtle Island, which she happily accepted. Ever since that day, she's been living there peacefully, and with great satisfaction. Yugito even managed to get much training done once she moved to the island, and learned new things from other Junins there. Though she thought it was quite tedious traveling an hour from Turtle Island to the Cloud Village, just so she could take missions. She would spend all day in the cloud, or out on missions, so she didn't have to leave the island and return quickly, unless it was an emergency. Constant trips on sea would irritate her. After an hour, Yugito arrives to the land of lightning, takes a 10-minute walk to the village, and arrives. It was barely 5 in the morning, and most of the village's people were asleep. She makes her way to the rakeage office, and knocks on the door to the rakeage's main office. She hears a, "Come in," from I, and she enters. I was doing some paperwork very early in the morning, and he looks up to her. "Yugito, what brings you over? As far as I know, you don't have any missions today." Yugito responds, "I know." She starts walking up to his desk. "I'm aware you start your work early in the morning." She stops in front of him. "And since I'll be busy with the 3 young Jinchuriki all day today, I found no better time than the morning to speak with you. We need to discuss something important, Lord I." The rakeage says, "You could had requested to set up this meeting when I made my arrival to Turtle Island yesterday." Yugito gives him an embarrassed smile. "I apologize. I was too overjoyed with getting to spend time with the containers. I hope this sudden appearance didn't interrupt you." I leans back on his chair. "Get to the point." Yugito continues. "Oh, yes." She clears her throat. 2 days ago, after we recruited Naruto Uzumaki, we were ambushed by what appeared to be ANBU from the Leaf Village. By what I saw of you yesterday, your group came out victorious, and without a scratch. Yugito nods. "Yes. Thankfully we all came out well." "What did you do with the attackers?" "We killed most of them, and knocked the rest unconscious." She reaches into her bag, and takes out 3 scrolls. "I sealed them inside these scrolls." Yugito sets the scrolls on top of his desk, and I asks, "What makes you believe they're from the Leaf?" Yugito answers, "They wanted us to surrender Naruto Uzumaki so that they could return him there. Somebody didn't want him to leave. But I don't understand. As far as I know, ANBU are under the control of the cage. And it makes you believe that maybe the 3rd Hokage had something to do with this. Part of me believes that, but most of me doesn't. It wouldn't make sense for him to let us leave with Naruto, only to send a group of ANBU to eliminate us and bring him back. But we'd best not jump into conclusions. We should send these scrolls to the Leaf and have the Hokage look at them." I strokes the beard on his chin. You said some of the attackers were knocked unconscious, and sealed into these scrolls with the ones that were dead, right?" Yugito nods. "That's correct. I got another idea. We could just interrogate the attackers that are still alive. Would that be a good idea? It would be best if we let the Leaf Village handle this matter." I looks at Yugito in all seriousness. "Yugito, you just recently recruited the container of the most powerful living being in existence, which formerly belonged to the Leaf Village. Whoever wanted Naruto to be returned back to the Leaf, most likely saw the boy as a weapon that would have been used for military purposes. If that same person has any plans to launch a bigger attack to bring him back, then we need to squeeze as much information as we can from the attackers inside these storage scrolls." He aims his hand towards the scrolls, "so that we can be ready, if an attack were to happen. Also, I can't risk the chances of the Leaf not sharing information with us if we deliver the attackers to them first. But if Hiruzen manages to gain information from these mysterious ANBU, and manages to track down and stop the one who leads them, well then that's less trouble for us." Yugito nods again. "Very well, Lord I. When shall the interrogation begin?" "I'll be busy for most of the day, but at 5 in the afternoon, I'll be heading to the Cloud Torture and Interrogation Center to interrogate these attackers. Leave the scrolls here. I'll ask Mabui to watch over them. Once that is done, I will talk to you personally, and give you the information. Yugito nods. Yes, Raikage. Don't take your eyes off the containers, Yugito. Especially those 3 kids. I won't, Lord I. They will do well with me. I'm hoping so. If that's everything, then I will be going back to my work now. Yugito bows, and takes her leave. She walks through the hallways of the Raikage mansion, and tells herself. Well, here goes another 1-hour sail to Turtle Island. And then yet another hour after gathering the Jinchuriki to take them here to the cloud. This excitement I have for my new friends is really not making me think straight. After arriving to the island, she ate breakfast, and waited for her new friends to wake up. Once they did, they all got dressed, ate breakfast, and took the next ship back to the Cloud Village. 3 young containers. Han, however, decided to stay. Yugito decided use her mission payment from her week's missions to buy the younger Jinchurikis anything they would require. She couldn't convince B to help her because despite he and Yugito being best friends, buying requirements for the children was her idea, and he didn't want anything to do with it. Han didn't require anything, as he was an adult, and had a fair share of his own money. When they arrived to the village, the first thing Naruto asked for was ramen. Yugito told Naruto, ramen. That's not something you need, it's something that keeps you fed. Naruto begged, come on, Yugito. Please. I haven't had a bowl of ramen ever since one left the Leaf Village. Yugito asks, how often do you have ramen? Every day. Ichiraku Ramen Shop keeps me fed, and I'm a loyal customer to them. Or at least, I used to be. You know ramen isn't all good for you, right? That explains why you're so short. So, Fu's a year older than me, and she's a teeny tiny bit taller than me. Fu, who happens to be with them, responds to that, hey, leave Fu out of this. Yugito says, Naruto, I'm looking to buy you items you require. Such as ninja tools and traveling equipment. She pokes Naruto's newly received cloud headband tied on his forehead 2 times. You're a cloud ninja now, so you need the necessary to be one. She looks at Naruto's orange tracksuit. Even new clothing. Orange is a horrible color for a ninja. Naruto argues, but I love orange. It's my favorite color. Fu jumps into the conversation, Naruto, now you're starting to sound like a toddler. Naruto continues arguing, it's not only that, but old man Hokage gave me this outfit 2 years ago. He looks at Gaara. Gaara, help me out here. Gaara was also there with them, but turned his head and closed his eyes when Naruto asked for his help. Naruto only sweat drops. Yugito says, then the least you can do is keep that outfit as a memory for what the Hokage did for you. Anyway, we're going to buy items that is not ramen or any other type of food or drink. You can eat once you get back to Turtle Island. Naruto, who was still grumpy, replies, fine. Eating fruits doesn't hurt anyway. Yugito lightly smiles, good. Now let's go. For the next 2 hours, they spent their time walking from store to store, buying required items. But Yugito only had so much money to spend, so she currently bought them items with low prices, which would do for now. Gaara didn't ask for anything. Fu loved everything she saw and couldn't decide what to pick, and Naruto didn't see anything he liked, so Yugito helped him and Fu on what to pick. Yugito didn't like the fact that Gaara didn't ask for anything, and she tried to encourage him to pick something, but he calmly declined. Knowing of Gaara's history of being violent, Yugito didn't want to pressure him into buying an item, so she only told him that if he changes his mind, she would happily buy him something. She also noticed Gaara addressed her as Miss Yugito, which she found rather adorable of him, but didn't say it out loud. Once they were done picking what they wanted, they exit the last store for the day. Yugito tells them, I think we should call it a day, and head back to Turtle Island. You kids got all the items we wanted, and I'm also getting short on money heh. Before they could proceed walking, they heard arguing next to the store, from who appeared to be a boy and a girl. Fu says, "Looks like there's a couple who doesn't sound happy." Yugito smiles, "I recognize those voices. Come on, let's go meet them." Yugito starts walking, with the three young Jinchuriki behind her. When they walk next to the store, they see two females and one male. One of the females was of Naruto's age, and had fairly long, spiky, dark red hair, with dark skin, while the other female was an adult of the age of Yugito, and was rather busty. The woman too had blonde hair, and was bob cut. The only male in the trio had very light blonde, and short spiky hair, and just like the redhead, he also had dark skin. The two younger ones in the trio seemed to be in an heated argument. The redhead yells at the boy, "We failed the mission because your stupid plan didn't work." The light blonde boy counters, "Cut me some slack." He shrugs, "At least I came up with a plan. It would had worked if you waited a little longer." The oldest one in the trio was just watching them argue. "I had no choice. We were running out of time. Also, you were taking too long with your plan." Yugito speaks, "I hope we're not interrupting." The trio looks over, and they see Yugito, plus three other kids they've never seen before. The youngest girl in the group smiles. "Yugito." She then runs up to Yugito, and gives her a tight hug. "It's good to see you again." Yugito smiles, pats the girl's head, "Hi Karui." The girl now known as Karui breaks the hug, and the two others in the trio walk up to the Jinchurikis. The boy of the three speaks. "It's good to see you again, Yugito." He looks at the three young containers. "Who are your friends?" Yugito says, "I'm glad you asked." She looks back at the young containers. "Kids, this is Karui, Omoi, and Samui." She points at each one when she called their names. "Team Samui, this is Naruto, Fu, and Gaara." She points at each one as well. "They're the new recruits." Karui looks at them, "Nice meeting yo." Before she could finish, Fu quickly grabs Karui's hand, and shakes it fairly fast, but with a light grip. Fu happily says, "Nice meeting you too. It's always nice to meet some new people. I like you already." Fu lets go of her hand, and Karui holds her own hand as if it was being chewed on by a starving pit bull. Karui chuckles, hey, yeah, it's always nice." Fu puts her hands behind her back, and smiles at her happily. Omoi looks at Yugito, "So they're the ones you were telling us about?" Yugito nods, "That's right. They're just like me and B. Maybe you kids can teach something from each other." Naruto walks up to Omoi. "Hey, I'm Naruto Uzumaki. I hope to see you around here more often." Naruto shakes Omoi's hand, and Omoi does the same. Omoi says, "Niece, you already know my name." They let go of each other's hands. Yugito looks at Samui, "Come on Samui, don't stay quiet. Say something to the newest Cloud Ninjas." Samui says, "It's cool to see new people in the Cloud Village." Yugito smiles again, and asks, "So if I may ask, what were you two arguing about?" Karui puts her hands on her hips, "Remember that super important B-ranked mission we told you about before you left, that we were supposed to take? We literally just got back from it, and we failed it." Yugito's eyes widen a bit, "You failed the mission. But I thought the three of you had it all planned out." Omoi says, "Captain Samui was injured, and she told us to proceed on with the mission. I had the rest all planned out, but if it wasn't for," he looks at Karui sharply, Karui's impatience, "my plan would had worked." Karui argues, "I told you. We were running out of time. I had to do something." Omoi says, "Well, your action didn't work, and now the Raikage is going to punch us all the way to the land of snow for failing the mission. Well, it's not like we were capturing some guy who had important information, so I think we'll be fine." She looks at Samui. "Right Samui?" Samui only says, "No, we're dead." Karui's forehead turns purple out of fear. If Samui would say something like that, they were screwed. Samui starts walking to the Raikage mansion. Now let's go. Omoi starts following behind, and Karui stutters, wait, now. Omoi looks back at her. You know Lord I doesn't like it when we don't tell him about failed missions, now come on. Karui slowly starts walking, with fear still written on her face. Oh okay. See you later Yugito. It was nice meeting you guys. She rushes to her other two teammates, and they proceed to the Raikage tower. Fu says, they look awesome. They even have swords. Yugito looks at them. Yes, Karui and Omoi may not look like they like being together, but when they work as a team, they can do a fine job. Naruto says, I hope we see them around some more. Yugito smiles. Don't worry, I have a few plans of how you can spend time together. Now, we should be heading back. There's nothing else we have to do for the day. With that, they proceed making their way out of the village, and to the ship docks. 2 days later, Yugito, Han, Killer Bee, and Samui were inside the Raikage's office, standing in front of I. By the serious expression on his face, it seemed he had a very serious mission for them. I begin speaking. Before I get into the details, he looks at Han. I didn't call you here for the mission I am about to give. It was only Yugito, B, and Samui. Han calmly says, Yugito told me about the message you sent her. It seemed pretty serious, so now that I am Cloud Shinobi, I should do what a shinobi does, and take any missions that will benefit my new home, and the rest of the main villages. So I am here to ask your permission to partake on this mission, and aid my new allies on it. The more ninjas involved, the better. I admire your words, and you have given me a good reason. Very well, I shall grant you your request. Han nods. I thank you. I continues, now, the following mission I am going to give you is a dangerous S-ranked mission. If you are all familiar with what has been going on at the village hidden in the mist, it is under the tyranny of the current Mizukage, and Jinchuriki of the Three Tails, Yagura. There's a rebellion team led by a woman known as Mei Terumi, who has requested assistance for at least 3 Cloud Jonin, and as you could most likely guess, those 3 Jonin will be the 3 of you. As he looks at Yugito, B, and Samui, who were standing left to right respectively. He then looks at Han, who was standing to Yugito's right. But now that there is a 4th Jonin, chances will be better for them. Yugito asks, if I may ask, why does this Mei woman need 3 Jonin from another village? A fleet would be a better choice. I responds, she needs you for something much more important than just shinobi ammunition. Besides, I don't just send a high number of shinobi like that through a request, unless there are those who wish to join the mission. He looks at Han, such as you, Han. He looks at the others. You are all to travel to the Mist Village, and aid Mei with her rebellion. You are to leave in an hour, or earlier if you wish. Any questions? Yugito responds, Lord I still wish to recruit all of the Jinchuriki. Should I still recruit Yagura? Are you trying to make me laugh, Yugito? There's no way a dictator like him would join us like that. Besides, that mission is done with. Move on. Yugito felt down when hearing that, but she responds, yes Lord I. If there's nothing else, you should all get ready. Dismissed. With that, the 4 Jonin proceed to exit the office. Yugito was going to be the last one to exit, but when she was going to, I calls her, Yugito. Yugito turns around, yes Lord Raikage. I have information about the attackers you and the containers faced a week ago. It turns out, they can't say anything about their group. And not because they refuse to, but because they literally can't. Yugito asks, what do you mean? I explains, they have seals on their tongues which prevents them from speaking. Their leader must be very cautious, and we can't break the seal either. It requires some complicated steps, which the interrogation center is still looking into. We're not going to send these people to the Leaf just yet. Are you sure that is a good idea? It doesn't seem safe keeping people from other villages in our own. Not unless they're trying to kill my villagers and new recruits. That's all I have for now. Get ready for your mission. Yugito nods, yes, Lord Rakage. She lightly bows, and exits the office. Yugito responds, it's because of the days straight we spent traveling on the ocean. I don't mind it, I'm kind of used to it, but that's because I travel 2 hours a day. This is 2 days straight. She puts her right hand under her cheek, I can't tolerate being in the ocean so much. And no, I don't get seasick, I just don't like long boat trips. Samui crosses her legs, we're only half a day away from the mist. Just keep your cool, and hold on just a little longer. Yugito looks at her, you're making it sound as if I'm going to puke my brains out. Samui shrugs. B walks up to them, and puts a hand on Yugito's shoulder, don't be worrying, Yugi girl. We gone, get there in a swirl. Yugito looks at him and sweat drops, even if that made sense, half a day is still 12 hours. My patience isn't as sharp as I used to be. Han also walks up to them and stops next to Samui, mind if I join? Yugito looks back into the sea, if you want to hear me complain about how much I hate long sea travels, then go ahead. Han chuckles, so, how are the youngsters at Turtle Island? Yugito responds, they're doing fine. I let them be sure that the 4 of us were going to be gone for a while. Though I didn't give them a specific time on when I was going to arrive. We don't know how long this mission can take. Especially since it's S-ranked. I just hope they behave. B raps, the ninja at the island will treat them just fine. Maybe they'll make their skills as sharp as mine. Han says, I can't believe I understood that. Yugito looks at Han, you understood that? Han, if you speak Killer B, then I would happily pay you to be his translator. B grows a light angry vein on his forehead. Han says, I'd do it for free. B turns his head around with a, HMPH. Samui looks at Han, so, you're the container of the 5 tails, is that correct? Han tucks his right hand inside his kimono, and nods, indeed. I can't say I'm proud of it, but it has its benefits. Yugito has told me some good things about you. Do you have a good history with her? We were teammates at a young age along with the Rakage's assistants, Mabui. We were an all-female team. Even our sensei was female. Yugito looks at them, all-female teams are rare these days. Teams are either 3 males, 2 males and a female, or 2 females and a male. Han says, indeed it is rare. I was paired with 2 females as well as a female sensei. I don't like talking about it, though. Samui lightly smiles, that's actually kind of cool. Han lightly shrugs, if cool is how you want to describe it. He looks at Yugito. May I ask what is your relationship with Miss Samui? Yugito sits up straight. Well, it's not something I lightly talk about, but since you told me about your story with your teammates, it's only fair if I told you mine. She looks at Samui. Samui and I didn't have a lot of interaction in the academy, and we didn't speak to each other when we were a team. Samui explains, mainly because my parents told me not to come near her, and were not happy at all when we were on the same team. It wasn't very cool back then. Yugito continues, but as time went by, and as missions were done, we opened up to each other, and became very good friends. She looks at Samui again, and smiles, which is something I'm happy about. Samui gives her a faint smile. Yugito looks at Han, then there was Mabui, who I was in bad terms with. Mabui may not look like it now, but she was a bit short-tempered when she was younger. She would constantly blame things on me, and got into arguments with me over silly things, which I tried to avoid. But now that she's older, she's very calm, and very patient. Nothing like how she used to be as a child and teenager. And I can't blame her for taking her anger all out on me. She was just following her parents' steps. Yugito reaches into her bag, which was sitting next to her, takes out a photo, and gives it to Han. Here's a picture of us the day we became a team. The picture was the team standing in front of the Cloud Village Ninja Academy. Yugito was standing on the right, Mabui in the center, Samui to the left, and their sensei standing behind them. Samui was carrying the same stoic expression she always has on her face. Mabui was making a peace sign with her right hand, and her head was tilted to the left, making a teeth smile and an eye smile. Yugito, on the other hand, looked rather sad, and had unintentional puppy eyes. She seemed like she didn't want to look at the camera, but tried her best to do so. And their sensei, a woman with dark skin and long straight blonde hair and sharp black eyes, was smiling kindly at the camera, with her right hand on Samui's right shoulder, and her left hand on Yugito's left shoulder. The three genin were of course wearing different clothing than the ones they're wearing now. Han chuckles under his mask when he looks at Yugito in the picture, and she says, "Don't laugh. I was a really sad girl back then." Han responds, "I can tell. It's actually pretty humorous. Who's the sensei?" Yugito looks down on the floor, with a somewhat saddened expression. Her name was Katui. Han asks, "Was?" "Yes. I told you about the time the Yoryacha clan invaded the Cloud Village, yes." Han nods. "Well, it turns out their leader," she looks to the side, "their leader killed her. I miss her." Samui, while not wanting to admit it, also felt down thinking about that. "I miss her too, Yugito. Me and her weren't exactly best friends or enemies, but I'm highly thankful for what she taught me." Han says, "I'm sorry to hear that, Yugito." Yugito looks up. "It's okay. It wasn't all that bad." Before she died, she looks over to B, who was still standing next to her. B was always the one that brought a smile on my face, and brought my hopes up. And even after Katui died, B wouldn't let me be depressed over it, and did everything he could to make me smile. She smiles at him. B grins. "Yugi girl is my lil peep. Never am I gone. Let her weep." Yugito lightly blushes at his words. Han asks, "How did your teammate Mabui take the loss of your sensei?" "I'm not too sure. She never mentioned it to me, and I never asked her, and don't want to ask her because those were hard times." Han nods. "I understand." Yugito looks at Han again. "Maybe you should tell Samui and B about your history. If you feel comfortable talking to them about it. I'll tell them some of it to pass the time. As you like." For the rest of the trip, Han, Samui, and B spent their time talking about their days as kids and teenagers. Han told them about some of his history first, then B shared, or rapped, some of his, and Samui got into more detail about hers. Though she didn't speak much about it, as she likes to be silent most of the times. Yugito was still there with them, and was thinking about a few things as the other three Junin were having their conversation. Once their latest topic ended, she decided to jump in. She gets their attention. "Hey guys." The three other Junin look at her. "I was thinking about maybe becoming a Junin sensei." Han curiously asks, "Oh, what made you come up with that thought?" Yugito responds, "Naruto, Fu, and Gaara just became genin, and haven't been assigned a Junin sensei, or a team. So I figured I could take the three of them as my students." B says normally, "That ain't bad thought, Yugi girl. Those little rascals need some sort of teacher to guide him." "They do. And I was hoping if I could hear you guys on this matter." Han says, "If you think that's best for the three youngsters, then you should go for it." Samui says, "I think it's a cool idea." B points at his chest with his left thumb. "You got my support, Yugi girl." Yugito smiles. "Thanks you guys. Naruto and the others will be happy to hear of these news. I bet they're eager to take on missions already." The ship proceeds making its way to its destination. Night time had already risen, and the 12 hours quickly passed. The mist village could be seen up ahead. "Finally," was the first thing Yugito said when seeing the village ahead. But just then, Mist Ninja in a few smaller boats flash their flashlights at their boat. One of the Mist Ninjas says, "Hold it right there, outsider." His right index and middle finger were on the right side of his neck, focusing chakra on it to increase the volume of his voice. This caused the captain of the Cloud Junin's ship to stop. A few minutes later, the Cloud Ninja was standing on the ship in front of the 4 Cloud Shinobi. The Mist Ninja says, the Mist Village's home island is under lockdown by order of the Mist Village Rebellion leader, Mei Terumi. I suggest you leave, unless you have specific reasons to be here. Yugito tells them, my name is Yugito Ni. And we are Cloud Shinobi sent here by the request of Mei Terumi herself. She takes out a sheet of paper. This was sent to us by Mei Terumi herself. She gives it to the Mist Ninja. It granted us access to enter the village's island. But it's under lockdown, so I see why we needed it. The Mist Ninja looks over the sheet of paper, and gives it back to Yugito. Very well. Follow me to the docks. With that, the ninja jumps off the ship, and back onto his boat. It proceeds making its way to the Mist Village's ship docks, with the Junin's ship following behind, and after 5 minutes, they arrive. Yugito and the 3 other Cloud Shinobis exit the ship, while its captain stays to wait, and guard the ship. Yugito asks the Mist Shinobi from before, why is the entire island on lockdown? The Mist Ninja says, Lady Mei is going to deliver a final surprise attack on the Cage's tower, so she doesn't want outsiders to interfere in the attack, unless it is Shinobi requested to join the cause. She needs at least 3 Junin to help her on her attack, but I shall let her explain it for herself. They walk down to the main location of the rebellion, which took another 5 minutes. It was a camp. There were many tents set up, both large and small, and had some of its ninjas walking around the camp organizing things, while others were getting their rest for tomorrow. The ninja leads the 4 Cloud Junin to the main tent, which was the biggest tent in the camp. They enter the tent, revealing many Junin-leveled Mist Ninjas inside, surrounding a large desk with a battle map on it. The ninja that stood out the most was a fairly tall, quite busty woman wearing a blue dress, and long pointy caramel hair that reached all the way to her ankle. She was undeniably beautiful as well. The Mist Ninja calls for her, Lady Mei, there are 4 Cloud Shinobi who wish to see you. The woman, now identified as Mei, faces the 4 Cloud Junin, and lightly holds her chin. With that, the Mist Ninja that guided the 4 Shinobi leaves the tent to resume his duties. The other Mist Ninja surrounding the table continue discussing their plans as Mei takes a good look at the Junin. Mei smiles, so, you are the Cloud Junin I requested. I must say, but I am not disappointed at all. Yugito begins speaking, you must be Mei Terumi, correct? That's right. I am the head of the Hidden Mist Rebellion. Please be so kind as to introduce yourselves. Yugito begins, I am Yugito Ni. Samui. Samui simple says. Han. Han also simply says. B pumps his chest with his 2 times, Killer B in the house, baby. He then does a peace sign with the hand he used to pump his chest. Mei says in her thoughts, such a colorful cast of ninjas. She lowers her hand from her chin, and talks, I had originally requested 3 Junin to assist me, but since there are 4 of you, chances of victory couldn't be any better. She looks over to Yugito, so, you are the Yugito Ni. I have heard some amazing things about you, Miss Yugito. How you and your partner Killer B managed to take down one of the most powerful fire-style users to ever come across our nations. I have only heard word about the 2 of you. Never have I seen your appearances until now. Yugito lightly smiles, I am glad we could give you a good first impression, Lady Mei. Mei says kindly, please, for you, you can just call me Mei. Now, let us get down to business. She signals them to come close to the battle desk, and they do. Yugito and Samui stand to Mei's left, and B and Han to her right. Mei continues, the 4 of you should know by now that the Hidden Mist is under civil war. She looks at Yugito and Samui, if you don't, then at B and Han, then you have 0 reason to be here. She focuses on the battle map, the entire village is under Yagura's control. No one gets in or out without authority of his officials, and those who are not with him are either killed, or expelled, and are not allowed inside. That means it's the rebellion. Yugito asks, is there anything we should know about his defenses? Mei answers, yes, and his defenses are big. For starters, he has 6 out of the 7 ninja swordsmen under his command. She circles around the Mizukage Tower on the battle map, and they're all scattered around the Mizukage mansion, being used as Yugura's personal bodyguards. She looks at Yugito and Samui with a serious face. This will cost the village a lot, but I aim to kill all 6 of them. She then looks at B and Han with the same face. They're the most powerful shinobi in the Mist Village right under the Mizukage, and I can't risk the chances of them somehow escaping to interfere with our plans. Han asks, so what will be our objective? Mei gives him a sly smile. I'm glad you asked. She looks at the battle map again. Yugura's men are guarding the village through the inside, and on the walls that surround it. I am sending 2 teams to infiltrate the village. She points at certain locations in the map, 1 team through the front, and 1 team through the back. I will lead the front team, but I will need one of you to lead the back team. And I can't have any of my Junin to do so because I am having all of the most experienced ones be a part of the infiltration. Before I proceed, which one of you would like to lead the back team? Suddenly, the voice of a man says, I'll do it. All 5 of them turn to the direction of the voice. It was a man in a dark gray kimono, who was wearing an eye patch on his right eye, and had grayish blue hair that was sticking upwards. He, however, was bearing bandages under his kimono, as if he was recently in battle, instead of a shirt. He also had bandages under his headband on his forehead. The man speaks, Lady Mei, I'm ready to take part in the battle once more. Mei looks at him surprised, but then speaks, no, you're not. You were a victim of an ambush last night. You can't lead the back team for this infiltration. Yugito looks at the man curiously, and who might you be? The man speaks, my name is Ao. I'm the leader of the sensory team in the rebellion. He looks down his body, please pardon my current condition. He looks back up, Yugura's men ambushed my group last night, and killed 2 of my members, with only me and 2 more as the lucky ones. Mei explains further, he's also my assistant. He informs me on what his group has found, and Yugura's status. Han asks, and you wish to lead the second team despite your condition? Ao taps his right side twice, I'm recovering fairly quick. It's nothing to be too concerned about. Besides, I may not be a fighter, but I've led many teams before, and even fleets during the Third Great Ninja War. Mei makes a light sigh, alright, Ao. You will be in charge of the back team. But you better come out alive. Ao smirks, I've survived a whole lot more than just civil wars, you know. Mei lightly smiles. Alright. She looks back at the map, to continue with the plan. Now that Ao will be guiding the back team, the 4 of you will be on the front team with me. The back team's job is to neutralize all of the ninjas in the village's walls, while my team neutralizes the ones inside the village. After that, both teams will make their way to the Mizukage mansion. Mei looks at Ao, and Ao, your team will take down the ninjas guarding the tower from outside, while mine take down the ones from the inside. She looks at the 4 Cloud Junin, then there's the 6 swordsmen. Remember, I am sending my best shinobi to invade the mansion, so I will divide both teams into 7 different teams, and scout for the swordsmen. 7 teams because me and my team will be going after Yugura, while your teams go after the swordsmen. Ao interrupts, Lady Mei, you didn't tell me you were going to fight Yugura. Mei looks at Ao, I will have my team with me, so I won't fight him alone. She looks at the Cloud Junin once more, the 4 of you plus me and Ao makes 6. I am waiting for somebody else to arrive. He should be here any minute now, actually. He'll be a perfect addition to the elimination of the swordsman. Yugito asks, who is he? Mei answers, his name is Utakata. A very special Junin of mine. When he gets here, I will let you meet him. He's just spending too much time with his little student. Han asks, when will the attack be? Mei answers, it will be tomorrow at midnight, when most of the villagers are asleep. So I suggest you stay up for this night, so that you may get some sleep in the afternoon tomorrow. You will need all of the rest you can get for tomorrow night. Ao crosses his arms, and smiles, sleeping in the day and battling in the night brings back some good times for me during the Third Great Ninja War. Back when the Hidden Mist was at the peak of its success, a time when we were seeking truth and justice, there's nothing better than a dominating. Mei smiles at him, shut up, or I'll kill you. Ao's forehead turns purple with fear, and bits his lower lip. I'll be with my team if you need me. He then walks out of the tent to attend his sensory team. Yugito and Samui look at Mei. Samui smirks, that's a cool way to intimidate. Mei nearly has an ear-to-ear smile, I know. Amayuri was ill. Very ill. Her blood was heavily poisoned, and the poison was slowly but surely making her way to her heart. A very strange disease it was, and there didn't seem to be a cure for it. Despite this, she used all of the durability and strength in her muscle to keep serving Lord Yagura as the only female of the 7 ninja swordsmen. Oddly enough, the disease was not contagious. It attacked one person, and it stayed with that person. She was dying, and she had no choice but to live the final hours she had left. On the outside, she looked flawless. She was young, attractive, and very deadly as well. Or, at least of what could be seen of her. She wore a very concealing and thick outfit. But on the inside, she was falling apart. It was 15 years that she has lived, but she still wanted more to do, and had so much to live for. She enjoyed her title as a member of the 7 ninja swordsmen, or swordswoman in her case, but she eventually wanted to put it down, and look for a new position. She was thinking about maybe retiring her life as a ninja, and have a family. She loved fighting, and was very vicious in battle, but she eventually wanted to just drop it all, and live for something else. That, however, will no longer be possible, thanks to her disease. She looked at the misty horizon through a large glass window, focused on only the horizon. But it was then that her fellow swordsman, Mangetsu, walks up to her, and stands next to her. They remain in silence for a few seconds, until Mangetsu spoke, I always thought the night was relaxing. It's peaceful, it's at a fair temperature, and there's no better time to rest than when it's dark. Amayuri stays silent, and Mangetsu turns her head towards her, you should get some rest too. Lord Yagura wouldn't want us sleeping on the job in the day. Amayuri keeps her eyesight on the horizon, I can't. Mangetsu looks back to the horizon, it's your illness, isn't it? Amayuri explains, rest is not important anymore, so yes. She looks down on the floor with a disappointed expression, I spent too much time being childish, and not enough time maturing, and getting ready for the life I wanted. Now I'm dying, and there's nothing I can do to make up for anything. Mangetsu eyes her once more, don't be so hard on yourself. It's not your fault you obtained the disease. You can still make up for any mistakes you have ever made. It's too late now. I could die at any minute, but I do have one death wish. Mangetsu listened closely. Amayuri looks up to the horizon again, I want one last battle. A battle with a worthy shinobi or kunoichi, strong enough to be able to kill me. I may not be able to make up for my mistakes, and I have no regrets over the people I've killed, but I at least want a last battle to show I had some sort of skill. Mangetsu keeps his eyes on the dying swordswoman, if I can help in any way, may I be the opponent you seek. Amayuri looks at the white-haired man and gently smiles, that's very nice of you, Mangetsu. But you know I can't fight a fellow mist swordsman. Mangetsu smiles lightly, well I hope you get the fight you want before your time is up. Amayuri smiles kindly, and nods. First glance, Yagura doesn't look very threatening, or willing to hurt anybody. He had the appearance of a young boy in his teens, and was as short as one. But during these years, he was a tyrant, and many wonder why he had come into this conclusion. The most common questions were, did he want to make the village suffer due to how he was treated at a younger age? How long was he going to keep this up? He got the revenge he wanted, why not step down from his Mizukage title? And how did he get away with making the village as it is without the Mist Council having a say on it? These were questions every Mist villager and ninja asked themselves or others, but never got answers. Yugura even got away with not having to do paperwork. When he became Mizukage, the first thing he did was give all of the paperwork to a few chunin that worked in the offices of the Mizukage mansion. Whatever he did or said to convince the Mist Council to see his ideals, it worked, and many in the Mist village were not happy with it. Many citizens and ninjas fled the village, and after that event, Yugura forced the village to lock down, and not allow anyone in or out without the authority of his Mist Shinobi. Now the villagers were trapped, and the only thing that could free them was the rebellion outside of the village. His lockdown of the village is what inspired Mei to lock down the island, but the thing is, Yugura wasn't aware of her own lockdown. Yugura was sitting in his office desk, in silence. In his thoughts, he was organizing the preparation of his counterattack. Yes, he was well aware of Mei's plan of attack, all thanks to his best Junin. His thoughts, however, were interrupted when a knock on his office door is heard. Yugura always hated interruptions when he was in deep thoughts, so he annoyingly let a come in, and the person who knocked enters. It was Mangetsu. Mangetsu begins speaking. The swordsman and I are ready for tomorrow's counterattack, and are waiting for your approval, Lord Mizukage. Yugura grins, and responds, excellent. You and the others have my full approval. HM. He stands up from his chair, and slowly walks up to Mangetsu. Tomorrow, I'm going to show Mei, that dog, that you just can't stop the 4th Mizukage. Not with the 7 ninja swordsmen, plus my best Junin, and my tailed beast under my command. He stops in front of Mangetsu. I'll make sure to kill Mei myself, and when she dies, the rebellion will die with her, leaving no hope for any redemption of the village, and me as its permanent, tyrant leader. His evil grin widens. Mangetsu looks at him in the eyes, and says, I won't let you down, sir. Yugura lightly nods once, I know you won't. He turns around, and heads back to his desk. If there's nothing left you wish to say, you are dismissed. Actually, there is something I wish to talk about. Yugura sits down on his chair, I'm listening. Mangetsu continues, it's about Amayuri. Yugura asks, about her disease, isn't it? Yes. It doesn't seem to be fair for her to die while in battle. I feel that she should put down her title of swordswoman and die a peaceful death once her disease strikes. She told me she wanted one more battle before her death, but... Yugura interrupts him, if she already said she wanted one more fight, why are you insisting that she should die peacefully? Hell, why come up to me about it? If anything, you should be telling her that. Because I care about her, and I want to see her pass away in a bed, not die in a fight. Again, you're insisting me, when you should be insisting her. If she wants to die in a fight, then let her. There's nothing you can do about it unless you can convince her otherwise. He knew Yugura was right. It was Amayuri's wish to die in battle, and Mangetsu knew it well, as she was the one that told him. But why was he talking to Yugura about Amayuri's decision when he should be talking to her instead? What made him come up with this approach? Was there something about Amayuri that Mangetsu cared about? Yugura says, you're wasting my time with this argument. You're dismissed. Mangetsu frowns, and stands there for a few seconds, until he spoke, can we at least give her her own coffin and funeral when she dies? It's the least we should do for a fellow SW. Yugura interrupts him again, I said you're dismissed. Mangetsu's frown hardens, and with venom on his voice, he says, yes, Lord Yugura. He leaves the office, and slams the door, something Yugura didn't take lightly. Yugura wonders, what the hell is his problem? Mangetsu lays his back against the wall next to Yugura's office with his arms crossed. He was still wondering why he would approach Yagura and not Amayuri. Did he really not want to lose a fellow swordsman, or have his comrade, no, friend, die in such a non-peaceful way? Did he have something he felt for her and didn't want to tell her? It's not often he had feelings such as these, and they're not feelings he really cared about unless it was somebody very important or special to him. Mangetsu was in deep thought. I don't think I even want to bring up this matter to her, it's best if she doesn't know. With that, he stands up straight, and begins walking through the hallways of the mansion. Mei was very focused on the battle map that lied before her. She was checking her plan many times until she was sure it would work. She and her men only got one shot at this. One screw up, and the rebellion would be destroyed by Yagura himself. And Mei knew that the only one who could take down Yagura was herself, as she had cage levels worth of chakra, strength, and jutsu that could match Yagura. Mei thought to herself, should I tell Yugito and her team my real intentions? Should I tell my men my real intentions? She closes her eyes, the only one that can defeat Yagura is me. Even my best Junin wouldn't stand a chance against him. Her thoughts were interrupted when Yugito spoke. You've been staring at that map for a few minutes now, Mei. Mei opens her eyes, and looks at Yugito. Mei gives her a faint smile, it's nothing. I'm just over-checking my plan of attack is all. Yugito admits, something looks like it's worrying you. Is there something else you would like to say? Mei makes a light frown, and looks at the battle map, but then looks at Yugito once again, come. Let's go for a walk. Just you and me. Yugito nods, very well. The two kunoichi leave the tent, and walk through the encampment. Mei begins, like I mentioned, stay up for tonight, so that you may sleep tomorrow in the afternoon, and get ready for the attack. You can walk around the encampment or explore the places outside of it in the meanwhile. Just as long as you do not go too far. You can even help some of my men get organized. Yugito says, I will do as you say, Mei. They stay silent for a few seconds, but Yugito speaks again, what can you tell me about Yagura? He is a Jinchuriki as well, so he gained the most of my curiosity. Mai chuckles, ah yes. I nearly forgot you are a Jinchuriki as well. She takes a confident breath of air. I have known Yagura ever since I was barely an academy graduate. By that time, he was a Junin, and was highly respected by many after so many years of being tormented by his people due to the curse of having a beast sealed in him. He was caring, heroic, truthful, sometimes a little arrogant, but with reason. Yugito paid close attention to this history as they walked. Mei continues, I even looked up to him up until the became Mizukage. He gained the title at the age of 23, and he deserved it at the time. He gave us 2 peaceful years with his title. She frowns, that is, until he had a sudden change of heart, and became what he is now. Yugito asks, do you know what caused him to come to this change? Mei answers, I have been trying to figure out for over a decade, with little to no answers. A decade? Then that means Yagura must already be in his 30s. Has his tyranny really gone out for that long? Mei coldly responds, yes. She looks at Yugito, but tomorrow at midnight, I'm highly confident that I'll get that answer. She looks at the ground in front of her, I've been too stupid to lose sleep over wondering what caused his change, when I could be getting the rest I needed to guide my rebellion. Yugito says, I understand how you feel, Mei. Mei looks at Yugito, I've lost sleep over major things as well. Like the time a clan known as the Yoryacha clan invaded the Cloud Village for no apparent reason. I was so stressed out, and didn't know what to do when they attacked. Eventually I did gain the confidence I needed, and got good rest before me and took down the clan's leader. Mei wonders, the Yoryacha clan, I have heard some dangerous things about that clan. She somewhat widens her eyes with surprise, and you took down its leader. Yugito rubs the back of her neck, oh it's not something I like to brag about. B did most of the work while I was his helper. She puts her left index finger and thumb on her chin, though I did deliver the final blow. Mei smiles. Well, that's an impressive feat, Yugito. She lightly taps Yugito her elbow. You should have been crowned Raikage. They both have a fair laugh, until they pass the exit to the encampment. Mei looks back at the encampment to make sure no one was following, and looks forward again. All right. We're far enough so no one can hear. She gives Yugito a serious look. Yugito, I haven't been completely fair with you, your team, and even my rebellion. Yugito wonders, what do you mean? I have other plans for tomorrow's infiltration, and you look like someone who I can trust with what I wish to say. Yugito nods. Very well, I'm listening. Mei takes another confident breath of air. I plan to take on Yagura myself. This catches Yugito by surprise. By yourself? Why? What about aid from your men? This is between me and Yagura. I don't want anyone else involved. Not you, not your team, and not my rebellion. Just me and him. Yugito gives Mei a serious look as well. Mei, you're making this sound personal. Is there something you're not telling me? Mei looks at Yugito in the eyes for a good 3 seconds, but then sighs while she eyes the ground. You're right. This is personal. Is there anything else you'd like to share with me? Mei stays quiet for another few seconds, but then speaks. There is one thing. The reason why I make this personal. Yugito keeps her listening towards Mei. I was Yugura's student once. Not a team student, but his own personal student. He saw potential in me when I single-handedly won the Hidden Mist Chunin exams. He walked up to me one day, and decided to take me under his wing. For the next 2 years, I learned as much as he wanted to teach me. I'm very close to being a cage-level shinobi, and he's the main reason as to why I am. She looks down on the ground, and tightens the grip on her hands in anger. She also starts showing anger in her voice, but after he decided to start his tyranny, he literally threw me to the side as if I was some lowlife, or as if he didn't know me. She looks up to Yugito, and raises her voice. He was like an older brother to me. When she said that, a puff of fire comes out of her mouth, which surprised Yugito. Mei turns around, and takes 3 steps towards the direction she was facing, and stops, and then he threw it all away. More puffs of fire came out of her mouth. Yugito noticed that puff, despite Mei facing her back towards her. What she didn't notice were tears forming in Mei's eyes. Yugito takes slow steps towards her, and slowly places her right hand on Mei's left shoulder. Mei says between her light sobs, I'm sorry for bringing up this stupid story to you. She wipes her eyes, with some of her makeup coming off. It's all right. I appreciate your honesty, and I'm grateful for your confidence in me. Yugito removes her hand off her shoulder. Mei slowly turns around to face her, and lightly smiles. I'm just happy I could share the story with somebody. Even if it's someone I just met. Yugito kindly smiles, and then takes out a napkin from her pouch. Here. You wouldn't want to go around the encampment with dirty eyes, would you? Mei does a light laugh. I'd have to kill anyone and everyone who saw me like this. She cleans the dirty makeup on her eyes, and gives the napkin back to Yugito, who puts it back in her pouch. Mei says, let's head back now. I've told you what I needed to tell you. Then a male's voice is heard. I hope I'm not late. Before the 2 kunoichi could turn towards the encampment, they hear where the voice comes from. Mei smiles. Utakata. I'm glad you could make it. Utakata was wearing a standard mist uniform with a mist headband tied on his forehead, and his hair covering his left eye. He smirks. Sorry I'm late. Hotaru wouldn't go to sleep unless I taught her one more jutsu. But she was low on chakra due to all the training we had today, so she only learned a quarter of the jutsu. I swear, that preteen can be hard-headed, sometimes. Mei says, it's not a problem. We were just on our way back inside. She looks at Yugito. Yugito, this is Utakata. One of my best Junin. And, you deserve to know that he is a Jinchuriki as well. Yugito's eyes widen to those words, and looks at Utakata, who says, "So does that mean you're like me as well?" He takes a few steps closer to Yugito. "It's not every day I get to see another container walking around here." "So which one?" Yugito responds, "The two-tailed cat. And you? The six-tailed slug." Another smile formed on Yugito's lips. She finally found one of the two Jinchuriki that were missing, and it was the container of the six tails. She couldn't be any happier, and she was finally making more progress after her last Jinchuriki search. Utakata noticed her smile, and asks, "Are you alright? You seem rather happy." Yugito knocks herself out of her stupor. "Oh, it's nothing. I actually have two other Jinchuriki friends over at the encampment if you'd like to meet them." "Two more? Huh." He lightly smiles. "I would gladly like to meet them." Mei says, "Then let's go." With that, the two containers and rebellion leader make their way towards the main tent. What they failed to notice was a tall skinny ninja wearing an ANBU mask and bushy hair, was standing on a tree, listening to the entire conversation Yugito and Mei just had. Once the three ninjas were inside the encampment, this mysterious ninja jumped from tree to tree, back to the mist village. Amayuri was sitting down on a couch, peacefully sharpening one of her kiba swords. She was focused on the weapon, and the weapon only, and she was alone in one of the many rooms of the Mizukage mansion. As she finished, she holds the fang in front of her, and looks into the reflection of it. She wonders, who should I give these to before I die? I hope I can live long enough to find a new wielder for these. And I survive the battle I want. She looks at the reflection of herself on the sword for a few seconds, until suddenly, she feels an excruciating pain on her chest, which causes her eyes to widen, and her kiba sword to be dropped. She then falls on the floor, and holds her chest in pain. She lays on her left side, and starts panting and moaning, not knowing what was happening. What's going on? She continues panting. Is it time? Amayuri coughs out blood, and yells in pain, "Is this it? Ha! Is my tea time up?" She then coughs out a fair amount of blood, and just then, the pain starts to slowly fade away. Her panting slows down, and her moans stop. She takes a look around, and notices she was still in the same room. She slowly sits up, and grabs her swords. Then stands up, and slowly walks towards a mirror in the room, and stops in front of it. She sets the kiba swords on the table, and starts to open her top. When she does, she lowers it, only to reveal an unpleasant sight on her body. The veins on her arms were thick and dark, while the veins on her chest just as dark, but thick, almost as if they were going to pop. She also had a few tiny bubble-like marks on her, and on her sides. Not to mention, there were black veins that looked like were circling her heart area. It was a sight that no one could tolerate but herself. It's getting worse day by day. She fixes her top. That attack I just had must mean I'm getting very close to dying. Amayuri takes a deep breath, but when she does, she holds her chest in pain, and groans. Now it's hurting just to take a deep breath. She sighs, and takes one last look at herself in the mirror, then turns around and sits down on the couch to continue sharpening her kiba swords. Samui was outside the encampment's main tent, admiring the campsite's view. Despite being in a civil war, the rebels were quite cheerful, and were having a good time together, whether it was eating, organizing for the assault, or sharing stories around a small campfire. They were not negatively affected, or anxious about the upcoming assault that was being organized. Seeing the cheerfulness of the rebels almost brought a smile to Samui's face. Almost. Her thoughts were interrupted when Han walks up from behind her, and stands next to her. Han simply says, "Hello Samui." Deep in thoughts. Samui replies, "I'm just admiring the view. They're all rather happy even while in a civil war. It's not something I see very often, either. Or at least, of what I can remember." They both stood in silence for a few seconds, until Han looked at her, and spoke, "I understand you are a Junin, but I was curious, do you have a genin team? Samui replies, 2 genin. Karui and Omoi. Ah, I see. If Yugito decides to take the 3 young Jinchuriki as her students, I'm sure your genin and hers will get along nicely. They've already met, and are getting along well already. She looks at Han, maybe you should take a team of your own. It would